Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content.
For a while, we've operated under the assumption that Evan Mobley was not just going to be an all-NBA player this year, but likely get his first Defensive Player of the Year award. But because of some vocal complaining from Draymond Green, who, shout out to Draymond, saw an opportunity, saw a vulnerability out there, inserted himself into the Defensive Player of the Year rankings. And the wild part is Draymond complaining about it has actually worked. The guy overnight went from like 6 to number 1 on the betting odds for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, how much is this? It's just the betting odds going with the most recognizable brand, right? If you're just somebody betting on Defensive Player of the Year and you're not really too informed, you're gonna put your money on Draymond, right? Like we got to keep in mind, I know a lot of people like to use betting odds as like a snapshot of where things are going, but the type of folk and the type of decision process that goes into somebody betting on Draymond Green to win Defensive Player of the Year is widely different from who votes on Defensive Player of the Year and why they would make that vote. So betting odds are always going to favor the bigger names. We saw this in the NFL with TJ Watt, right? He was like the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. Even though you talk to anybody who knew what they were talking about, they didn't have him in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation at all. But, you know, try not to get too caught up in what the betting odds are. But Worldwide Wob does, I believe, have a vote. And he was going through his rankings right now. And here's his justification for putting Draymond Green over Evan Mobley.
He's an 87th percentile individual defender with that 108.0 D rating. And, oh, by the way, the team gets 5.6 net rating points worse on defense when he comes off the floor.
I want y'all to remember that. 5.6 points difference.
That's the 89th percentile in the NBA. So he is certainly important. But I have him at number 2 for a couple of reasons. The first of which is that drastic increase and that he's not the rim protector that Victor Wembanyama and Jaren Jackson Jr. are statistically, and even arguably Ivica Zubac, but that's a conversation for another.
All right, hold on, stop. What? Now we acting like Evan's not a rim protector. He's not asked to rim protect primarily. That's why the stats aren't there. Like, please pay attention to the context. The main rim protector for the Cavs is Jared Allen. A lot of times they'll allow Evan to go to the perimeter, so he's not going to do a ton of rim protecting. But do you really think, in your like honest heart of hearts, do you really, really think that Evan Mobley, there's a chance that he's not a better rim protector than Zubac? We know he's a better rim protector than Jaren Jackson. That's no disrespect to Jaren Jackson. We've seen that in process every time the Cavs have played the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, when Evan needs to rim protect, he's even better than Jared Allen, who we allow to do it primarily just because Evan's so good at everything else. All right, let's continue.
I know I would rather have Evan Mobley as my primary defender, and he does so much out there on the perimeter.
Wait.
Evan Mobley, and arguably Ivica Zubac, but that's a conversation for another day. I know I would rather have Evan Mobley as my primary defender, and he does so much out there on the perimeter. But I chose not to get.
Good Lord, the chat. Someone just said Jared is a better defender on that team. That's crazy. That is crazy. And look, I love Jared Allen. But Jared Allen wouldn't even have that opinion. Like, what?
Evan Mobley, the number 1 overall ranking here, despite the Cleveland Cavaliers' success. And I would argue that he is probably the biggest reason why this defense is contending at a championship level, despite what their offense is doing. How he has been able to play off of Jared Allen as his co-anchor, pun intended, down there. 2 guys that certainly are air traffic control. That he's been able to play with him and make that work both on offense and defense has been notable. Therefore, his role is going to be a little bit different since he's not the true center. But to me, when I hear that he's still very stoic and very quiet on the court, especially from one of his current teammates, he's an absolute beast. He can do everything. But I gave him this number 2 slot because of the importance of communication.
Bullshit. That is bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't know much about Worldwide Wobs. Like, I seen him on Twitter. I don't really like read or watch him very often. This is the first time I've watched him. Bullshit, man. You're giving him the number 2 ranking because you think he's not communicating? Like, you just said all of that stuff about Evan Mobley that you're not going to be able to say about Draymond Green. And the difference, you're just giving it to Draymond because he talks more? I got to go back. Did I hear that correctly?
That work, both on off and...
Because he started off with like, oh, the negative with Evan Mobley is that he's not a great rim protector. But then he admitted in that Evan Mobley is a much better defender than everybody else that he's ranked, including Draymond, I would assume. And kind of took away that point. So his only real point here is that Evan... he doesn't think that Evan communicates. That's really it. What? Let me listen to it, man.
And defense has been notable. Therefore, his role is going to be a little bit different since he's not the true center. But to me, when I hear that he's still very stoic and very quiet on the court, especially from one of his current teammates, he's an absolute beast. He can do everything. But I gave him this number 2 slot because of the importance of communication. And that is now going to be a segue to number...
Because of Evan Mobley's so Tim Duncan was just an ass defender. Tim Duncan never communicated, right? Because of his stoic demeanor, he thinks that Evan does not communicate effectively on the defensive side of the ball. I'm truly at a loss of words. Like there's not many reasons to not give Evan the Defensive Player of the Year award, but that might be one of the worst ones I've seen. He doesn't like it's let me hear what he says about Draymond, because maybe I'm misunderstanding what he's saying about the whole communication thing. But if his whole point with Draymond is that Draymond talks more, good Lord, man, we're cooked. We're cooked.
One, which I'm afraid is going to ruffle some feathers. It's going to rile the chat up a little bit, but I'm sorry, guys. I can't not put Draymond Green at number 1. This master class of this past week has been the epitome of his Defensive Player of the Year campaign. We are talking...
Mind you, Draymond, soon after this was recorded, had one of the worst defensive outings of his season against Miami. Well, let's continue.
About an 8-time All-NBA defender. He's come in second place 3 times. He's won the award, I believe, back in 2017. And the difference for me here and now...
None of this has anything to do with 2025. Like, that's all great. That's why Draymond's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But... what this guy do with 2025?
Is he doing this at 35 years old? Thank you to John in the chat.
No, stop, bro, stop. It's the Defensive Player of the Year award. It is not the best defensive player, who I'm kind of impressed is doing this at the age that he's doing this. It's Defensive Player of the Year. You cannot curve the expectations for that award because you're impressed that somebody is being a really good defender at age 35. That is not how this shit works. LeBron is not in the MVP conversation, even though he's hooping phenomenally for somebody who's 40. No, that's not something that should factor in. Is Draymond a better defensive player right now than Evan Mobley? If you were picking a defensive player, would you pick Draymond or Evan Mobley? That is the question. This year, not Draymond's career, not everything that Draymond has accomplished with the Golden State Warriors. Right now, this season, which one you want? And if you look me straight in the eye and tell me you would rather have Draymond as a defender than Evan Mobley, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Not only is he doing this, look at that stare down. That's one of my favorite plays of the season where he always looks back. He's doing that. He's not.
The glaze is crazy.
Doing this as a basketball unicorn. Like Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson Jr., Victor
Did I use
Wembanyama,
that
those
right?
are unicorns. Those are guys with the 10-foot wingspans and 7-foot
my
board.
God.
Draymond, on paper, qualifies maybe as a power forward.
So he has a lower defensive rating, worse defensive stats, but he's 35 and undersized. And that should get him the award. This is not what the award is about. We're about to get this shit to Wemby. Why were we giving this shit to Wemby? Is Wemby the most No, Wemby just, he long as hell, he athletic as hell, he hard to score on. That was the best defensive player in basketball until he got injured. Until it became clear that he was not going to reach the threshold to be eligible for these awards. That's why Wemby was going to get it. The award goes to the best defensive player in basketball. Not because you're like, well, Draymond's not better than Evan, but he's 35 and he's undersized and he stared down that guy that one time and yeah, I just love Draymond, so I'm going to vote for him. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's insane. Let's continue.
And that he is still able to contest at the rim, below and above it, with the efficiency that he does. That he is probably one of the most intimidating defenders still to this day. And it's
all
unfortunate.
This shit has to do with Draymond not being that bad at old age. That's all. Give this man the best defender over 30-plus award if we want to make that shit up. Cool. Draymond got it. I would give him that award. Draymond's a tremendous defender for a man as old as he is. But that can't be a factor. It does not matter how old Evan Mobley is. It does not matter how tall Evan Mobley is. Is he the best defensive player in basketball? That's the question. That's the question.
That all of the antics that he has off the court or when he's kicking people below the belt, I wish this didn't happen despite it being great content, because his actions speak in his play always speaks for itself.
What the fuck does this have to do about him winning the
we're
award?
Using a comparison to Evan Mobley with the percentiles, Draymond Green is in the 80th percentile as an individual defender, 108.5 defensive rating. The team gets 2.4 points worse with him off.
Dog, Evan Mobley, they were 5.6 points worse. This dude's half. The defensive rating is 10th in the NBA for Draymond Green. Evan Mobley's 8. Everything that you were justifying this whole goddamn list on tells you that Evan should be number 1. But because Draymond is 35 and undersized, and he said he wanted it, and Draymond talks more than Evan Mobley, and literally that's one of the goddamn reasons he stated. He said in this video, essentially, Draymond Green is not a better defender than Evan Mobley. Draymond Green is not more impactful for his team than Evan Mobley. But I don't think Evan Mobley talks enough. And Draymond Green's old and he's short, and it's impressive that he's doing it. So I'm going to give him Defensive Player of the Year because it makes me feel good. That's really what we doing. And look, I'm one of the few Cavs fans on planet Earth that really don't hold a grudge to Draymond Green. I kind of like Draymond's whole get down. I like a player that's going to bark, yell, do all kind of like little surly stuff and just be a pest, right? I appreciate the role that Draymond Green has played for the Golden State Warriors dynasty much more than most Cavs fans. Most Cavs fans hate Draymond Green's guts. It's not going to be hard for people to be convinced in my argument in this favor against Draymond. I don't have to say much, but I respect Draymond. I think Draymond's a Hall of Famer. I am in the handful of Cavs fans that don't find him as like this loathsome character. I fuck with it. I like how I wish Draymond was on the Cavs at times, not on this Cavs team, but like I wish that like there were some teams in the past that they got that Draymond energy, right? I respect and appreciate what Draymond brings to the basketball court. But this argument and the arguments like it are just ridiculous. And it's all just to give Draymond Green another Defensive Player of the Year award that he does not need. And to rob Evan Mobley of, quite frankly, his only chance to win Defensive Player of the Year, because if we giving it to the best defensive player in basketball, as long as Wemby plays 65 games, dog, it's going to be him. Or Chet, if Chet ever get his defensive bag in. But yeah, this is crazy. This is like a highway robbery. Let's see if he says anything else that could justify this.
The floor, which puts him in the 72nd percentile. So it is 87th and 89th percentile for Evan Mobley, and it is 80th and 72nd percentile with Draymond Green. So not that drastic of a defense. The difference for me,
it's not drastic. It's just different in the other direction.
Is Draymond's communication, and I would go as far to say that he is the Peyton Manning equivalent of defense. What was Peyton Manning in his NFL days? Omaha, where
he giving the Defensive Player of the Year award off of mic'd up segments. I can't do this shit anymore, man. Look, the NFL has its problems, dog, but this shit is unhinged over here at times. What? Is he really saying this right now? Am I tripping? Am I overreacting? Or did I just hear a man basically say, yeah, man, Evan Mobley, he's so much better than Draymond. But Draymond's old, he's 35, and he gets better mic'd ups? That's what we doing? That's what we doing, dog? We out here rating off Riz? Like, that's all he said right there. That's what he just said right there, dog. Draymond Green is getting Defensive Player of the Year over Evan Mobley in this dude's opinion because Draymond got more Riz. That's what we doing? Gen Z, let me know if I use that right. That's crazy. What? Bro, what? It keeps getting worse. I'm scared to hit play again. I'm scared.
Individual linemen and the audibles. He's always assessing the defense. And every single play has about 7 or 8 little different tweaks to it based on his assessment of the situation. And listening to Draymond on a broadcast where you can hear him through the courtside microphones and how much he is always talking, whether it's
How do you fucking know if Draymond's actually calling stuff out, though? Like, if they're using terminology. How is this how you do that? How is that the determining? What? How do you know that the Golden State games just aren't mic'd up better? Or that Draymond's voice just picks up on mics better than Evans? And again, even if you can hear Draymond Green, which I don't doubt you can hear Draymond Green, he loud as shit. Even if you can hear Draymond Green, even if Draymond Green communicates better, that don't got shit to do with this award, man. I'm sorry. You cannot sit here and tell me that Evan Mobley, the team gets 5-6 points worse when he's off the floor than on. Draymond Green, they get like 3 points worse when he's off and on. So clearly the bigger difference here, it's 100% more in favor of Evan Mobley. That's not insignificant. That's a large difference. It's a whole nother bucket. And your whole like hand wave of that is because Evan don't talk as loud as Draymond Green. Because when you watch on League Pass, you can hear Draymond louder than Evan Mobley. That sounds like a beef with an audio engineer, not for the fucking Defensive Player of the Year. What are we doing? What? All right, man, one more time. Listen.
It's ice, blue, screen, switch.
Bro, you don't even know what that means.
Switch. You never hear switch because he always wants to stay with his assignment.
I've definitely heard Draymond yell switch before. I've definitely heard Draymond. Okay, man.
Creates an unnecessary advantage of which the defense has to voluntarily acquiesce to. Draymond against the Milwaukee Bucks, when that game was tight, to see him defend Giannis Antetokounmpo in ball screen action outside the three-point line, in which he could have very easily switched. He could have.
Bro, this is shit Evan do every day.
Doubled. He could have hard hedged. He did all of these things, but he always stuck with Giannis to the point that if he received the basketball in space, you will not have downhill momentum. You will have to beat me one-on-one, and I'm confident in my ability to go vertical that it's going to be held to pay if you're trying to score.
This is just
he ended up doing that in the play
this
that
is
Giannis Antetokounmpo had to defer.
race.
Oh, by the way, the Milwaukee Bucks did not score a single bucket, a single point for a 4-minute stretch, and that is because you could see the basketball telepathy between Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler on that one play.
Oh, my God, bro. Now we're talking about basketball telepathy? Holy shit, bro. Oh. What? What? The lengths, dog. The lengths that we are going to justify what is not able to be justified. Hey, man, you want to fuck over Evan Mobley and not give him Defensive Player of the Year, it's messed up. But, I mean, the Cavs do benefit from it. Like, maybe this is a Dan Gilbert psyop because maybe Dan's put a bunch of money out there so the Cavs don't get the luxury tax because Evan gets the Defensive Player of the Year award. He's eligible for the Supermax, and the Cavs got to give him the Supermax, right? Maybe this is a psyop. This is wild, though, man. This is wild. Like, what? Draymond deserves the award because he's older, shorter, not as good as a defender, but twice as loud as Evan Mobley. That is like a fair summation of what my man just said into a microphone to what I presume to be a national audience on Bleacher Report. I got nothing. I got nothing. All you got to do is watch this segment of the video, and it makes you go, yeah, Evan definitely should get defense. If this is the best defense of Draymond Green getting Defensive Player of the Year. And it's not because I dislike Draymond. Again, I actually like Draymond. I'm one of the few people in Cleveland that like Draymond because if you watch my football coverage, if you watch my basketball coverage, I like basketball players and athletes that get into the trenches. I have a sickness that way, right? Like I like dudes who like to fight on an athletic field of battle. Got no problem with it, right? You know what I mean? I wasn't out here tripping with Miles smack dude in the head with the helmet. That's not my style. So I have never had an issue with Draymond. But y'all trying to make me have it. And it's not Draymond I got an issue with, even though he's part of the problem because he's part of this damn push to give him this award. He know he don't deserve it. But it's every single one of y'all that be going with it, that sit there in front of a microphone and say, yes, Evan Mobley is better at every measurable statistic when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. But Draymond got the Riz, though. So we gonna give this shit to Draymond. Every single one of y'all that do that, y'all the problem, right? Draymond gonna advocate for himself. Why not? He's Draymond Green. But everybody who's going along with it, being like, yeah, Draymond, we see the Riz. Y'all are part of the problem, bro. Like that I've never been more mad at something more ridiculous than this. And I thought this was going to be a reasonable conversation. I was like, nah, man, this man seems reasonable. It's on a reasonable outlet. I'm not reacting to something from some wacky outlet or something like that, because you can look for craziness if you want to look for it. I picked this video to react to because I thought it would bring up some valid points that I could argue against to make the argument for Evan Mobley. I got none of that today. I got none of that. Wow. I got to get an Austin Carr button. Get that weak shit out of here, man. Y'all have a good day. Have an even better night. Peace.